Good evening. Just want to call the meeting to order for the Oxnard City Council for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call in posting of the agenda, please?
Councilmember Perallo. Councilwoman Bettis.
Here.
Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilman Starr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Teran.
Here.
Mayor MacArthur.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the kiosk at City Hall, the Oxnard Public Library, the city administrative offices, and on the city's website on Thursday, February 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is a closed session item. City Attorney, do we have any announcements to make?
Yes, Mayor. The City Council will recess to a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 Subdivision D1 to confer with its attorneys. The matters being discussed are Lopez versus City of Oxnard and Blanchard versus City of Oxnard.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher, Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers for this item?
Mayor and council members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for closed session items. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll break for the closed session item and we'll return at 5:30 for an appointment item. Thank you.
You want another box, Alex? Yeah. Yeah. So I'll leave some out for the audience, and then I'll bring her a box and set it over here somewhere. Well,
Great to get that exposure early on.
but once they see me on the agenda, they don't show up. You know? But no, I'll bring you another box.
I want to know what page you're on.
Hey, Aaron. Oh, yeah. Good to see you.
Okay, we're back on the record. The city council has just emerged from closed session. I'll ask our council, our city attorney, Mr. Fisher, to make any announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no actions to report out of closed session this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. The next item on the agenda is an appointment item. This is the presentation of the 2025 State of the Region report published by the Ventura County Civic Alliance. This evening, we have David Marone, who will make the presentation. Welcome, David. Thank you for being here.
Hello,
Go right
Mayor.
ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor MacArthur, members of the council, staff, and the overflowing members of the audience here. Thank you very much for doing that. That's how it sounds in my head. Yeah. Good evening. I am David Marin with the Ventura County Civic Alliance. Before I begin, I would like to also acknowledge that the chair of the Ventura County Civic Alliance is with us, Selena Zacharias, who is a longtime resident of Oxnard. She's also the Oxnard Harbor Commissioner and a member of RDP, and pleased to have her with us today. So if we could bring up the PowerPoint, I can get started. And there we go. So we cannot go around the county and share this report with all of the residents without the generosity of our larger sponsors. These are a few of them: Ventura County Community Foundation, the Community Colleges of Ventura County, California Resources, the County of Ventura, Limonera, Channel Islands, the Port of Hueneme, that's where Selena's Harbor Commissioner, and of course the Ventura County Office of Education. The inside back cover has the full list of all of our sponsors. So some highlights from the report. We publish this every 2 years. This is the 9th one overall. All of our sources are listed beginning on page 113. If you or staff want to dig into something, we'll show you all of those websites. For the audience at home, you can read this online or download it at www.civicalliance.org. And also, just a point of information, the Ventura County Civic Alliance is a neutral, unbiased, nonprofit 501c3. We're focused on quality of life here in Ventura County. So I'll start off with agriculture, a lot to cover tonight. The top 10 crops, we show this every 2 years, and you can see that strawberries continue to dominate, over $700 million in Ventura County. Avocados comes up second at about $139 million. Avocados is interesting because it's a cyclical crop. It's up 1 year and down the other, but strawberries continue to dominate. And then you can see some of the others that are listed here in Ventura County. Now, the overall size of our agricultural economy is about $2 billion. And it's been that way for many, many years. It hasn't been able to get above that, and you can see that the diagonal line there is the percentage of the overall Ventura County economy. So at one time, agriculture made up about 4.5% of our economy, but now it has dropped to about 3.3%. Obviously, farming in Ventura County is very challenging. There's 3 big issues: labor, of course, water, and then also these insects with the viruses that can just decimate our crops. So it is a very challenging profession. Now, this one here shows about employment and earnings. About 24,000, 25,000 people work in the ag economy. And oftentimes, I don't think young people realize there are some very good jobs in the ag economy. working in some of the packing houses, the automation, doing the marketing, a lot of other things. Mission Produce here in Ventura County, in Oxnard, Limonera, and others. There's quite a lot of opportunities. You can see that the wages have risen, that's the green bar, but the blue bar is inflation adjusted, and those have stayed pretty much the same, actually declined a little bit. So we are paying well, but it is an inflation focus. Okay, next up is community engagement. So here's one that's not so great news for Oxnard. The amount that is spent by the City of Oxnard's library system is the lowest in the county, and also the number of people that visit your library per capita. So Oxnard is certainly the largest city, but per capita, very low usage of the library system. Thousand Oaks and Camarillo tend to have the highest amounts. Now, one qualifier, so this isn't the amount of money the city gives the library. It's the total amount spent by a library. Some of these other library systems have very robust friends of the library that fundraise for them, and that money then can be spent. So it's not a reflection just on the budget. It's a reflection on all of the money that comes into the libraries. Feel free to interrupt. Yes.
Just a quick thing. I wanted to wait till the very end for questions, Mr. Mayor. Can you go back to the previous slide? I know we want to highlight the Oxnard items here, but I'm just curious if we have any information about the change between fiscal year 22-23 and 23-24 for Camarillo Library.
You mean when it went from part of the public system to the private? I forget the name of the company that took over the management, but is that what you're referring to?
Well, I just see the, just visually, the drop.
Why it jumped. No, I don't know. I think they went to the private organization that runs. You may remember that they pulled out of the Ventura County Library system and they went independent. But I think it was before 22-23. So that may have just been a year of, perhaps it was a donation or some other thing. But yeah, good question to catch me on.
Great, thank you.
I don't know. Politically, blue are Democrats, red are Republicans, green are no party preference. We're looking back about 25 years here. We can see that Democrats have slowly risen in the amount of registration. The Republicans have lost quite a bit, and that has come at the expense of no party preference. So it isn't as important as it was 25 years ago to register with a party because we have open primaries now. People aren't so affiliated with a particular party. But no party preference has certainly grown. Now that's the overall county. This is it by city. Of all the cities, Oxnard and Ojai have the highest percentage of Democratic registration. In fact, Oxnard and Ojai have a majority. And Ojai is so small, I really have to say that Oxnard dominates in that category. Simi Valley is the only city that has a plurality of Republicans. Now, this is voter registration, not voter turnout. As you all know, you're elected officials. It's getting these people to actually vote. But you can see how no party preference, interestingly, is about consistent across all of the cities. Even though we see the registration between the two parties vary, that no party preference is still pretty consistent. We've added some new data in this year's report. The nonprofit sector we're breaking out as far as categories so you can see just how much money is both revenue and assets by various categories. You can see education is very large. That could be Cal Lutheran money. At the very bottom, you see health and hospitals. That's Community Memorial dominates in those areas. So even though Community Memorial seems like a for-profit business, they are a nonprofit. So they have tons of revenue and tons of expenses. We break out the largest nonprofits here by both assets and revenue. This one is assets, so you can see that Community Memorial is just doing great up there as far as total assets. Gene Haas Foundation, related to the Gene Haas company here in Oxnard, very much has a lot of assets there. And you can see some others, and in your report itself, it goes on a little bit more as far as how some of these nonprofits have accumulated money. Certainly, organizations that should be around for a while. And I'd like to share this slide. We're looking at nonprofits here, and this is employment. I think a lot of times some of the audiences I speak to don't realize that we have almost 11,000 people in Ventura County working in the nonprofit sector. It is a huge safety net, and some of these and these are this excludes the hospitals. These are the everyday nonprofits like Community Action here in Oxnard and Food Share and all the others. And they translate to almost over $500 million of wages. So an important part of our community. We also added a new slide here regarding the creative economy. So there was data out there that we were able to access to show, and Oxnard, I think Moore Park has a big operation with studios. There's a lot of different types. So whether somebody is a graphic arts designer, they're performance, like you have your Oxnard Performing Arts Center and other places. The blue in this screen is W-2 employees. So somebody is a hired graphic designer. They're working for ABC graphic design in Oxnard, let's say. The green are the contractors. And so you can see certain industries. If you have a child who's thinking about going into fashion, for example, probably want to get them to go for a W-2 job because that pays much better than the self-employed. So you can see some interesting data in these charts. Moving on to the economy, there's several charts that look like this one, the service providing. There's also goods producing and also government. So goods producing is the manufacturing, the agriculture, oil drilling. Service providing are these jobs that we see here, like financial activities and IT, hospitality, education. Many, many years ago, goods producing was where our economy was built. But over the years in Ventura County, the state, and somewhat the nation, service providing jobs are the ascendant type of industry that's happening as manufacturing moved offshore or became highly automated. So on the top half of these charts, it shows the number of jobs. On the bottom, it shows you the salaries. So if you look on the top, and oops. Okay. So if you look at, let's say, financial activities, we can see that there's been a decline in the number of people working in this industry. But this is an industry that has increasing amounts of pay, up over $112,000 a year. Similar as the IT sector, very high paying, but we're losing jobs. Where we're seeing a growth in jobs is more like leisure and hospitality, but that doesn't pay very well. So this is the imbalance that's throughout the county as far as trying to not just have jobs, but to have high-paying jobs. So whatever we can do to attract more of these financial service companies. You may recall we had a big Bank of America operation in Simi Valley. Farmers was out there countrywide. All of those companies have left. So that's why we see the decline in that particular industry. Our gross county product, if you have earlier reports and you look at this report, you'll notice that the lines are completely different. And that's because we readjust this report every 2 years to make the city managers happy. No, that's not why. What we do is we readjust it because of inflation. So this is showing that back in about 2008, before the Great Recession, we actually were doing pretty well, about $70+ billion for our overall economy. But after the Great Recession, we took a real hit, and we've never really come back. We popped up a little bit the last year, but if you look at the actual percentages down here for the growth, it's been anemic. And the concern that I would share is that this is when we've had pretty good growth in the overall state and national economies. So if we get hit with another recession, it's going to hurt here in Ventura County because we haven't been able to go back up. So much like the nation, but yes, we need to bring in more industry, more jobs. This chart's a little hard to process on the screen, but what we're trying to show is how expensive it is to live here. The blue lines represent average income for various jobs. And so you can see at the top, you have things like healthcare support, maybe you make $20 an hour. You move down to management and legal, you get into a much higher salary range. And then we contrast that with just how expensive it is for, let's say, a single adult. They need to make about $29 an hour to survive here in Ventura County. So those first set of jobs don't even work for them. they have to find a job that's more in the middle of this chart. And if you have children, now you're moving further and further to the right. And a lot of that is the cost of childcare, of course, and we can talk more about that later. But it's an interesting chart to just see how much of a struggle it is for people here in Ventura County. Good news, taxable sales. We have the various cities here. Oxnard, way at the top, you have that amazing number up there, over $5 billion, just amazing. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing it. It's Amazon, not amazing. That's your Amazon number, which is obviously very much desired by all the other cities, and I'm sure something will happen there at some point. But great news for Oxnard. Now on the tourism side, Oxnard's been steady, growing, and you can see the other West County cities have the highest percentage of tourism dollars. Ojai is off the charts, and that's because of the Ojai Valley Inn. They just get so much from their hotel bed tax because their hotel rates are so high. And it's very fortunate Oxnard isn't in that situation, because that city depends on Ojai Valley Inn. If the Ojai Valley Inn closes for several months, that's a huge hit. And Oxnard is a very diverse income base, so you're not too worried about that. Port of Hueneme continues to be just a very strong economic engine here and right on your shores. And I bring this up because I know a lot of your city residents work at the port. And so you can see the overall income has continued to grow. And one interesting thing, just to look at it, you can probably see it on your screens, but the number of autos that are shipped in and out of the Port of Hueneme went from about 280,000, it's now up to over 400,000. I mean, every day in the Oxnard Plain, over 1,000 cars are coming or going. It's just quite an achievement for the port, and quite a lot of economic activity. Naval Base Ventura County, it is very hard to find data. As I mentioned, Selena's on RDP. I'm sure maybe one or two of you are as well. And it is hard to find data, but we did find a reliable source to give us some indication of the amount of spending that happens out at the base and the amount of people that are associated with the base, both active duty, civilian type of thing. So some more information for everybody on that. Education, this is the important chart as far as declining enrollments. So the city of Oxnard is no different. The green line is high school. The blue line is K through 8. And we have a little thing up here in the upper left corner. 50 years ago, the population in Ventura County was about half of what it is today. So we've doubled in 50 years. But when you look at the number of students, we went from about 107,000 to about 122,000. We are not having enough children in Ventura County. This is your school districts here. Ocean View lost a little, so the top line is 2021-22, and it goes down to the more recent years. You can see Oxnard Elementary has lost about 10% of their enrollment over the last 4 years. Oxnard Union High School has had a big decline, and Rio Elementary has held their own, but I don't think we're going to see a new high school built in Ventura County for a couple of decades. Now, I'm often asked, well, isn't this because everybody is homeschooling now? So we put this in here as well. The private schools, you can see that private schools have also declined. So it's not private school enrollment, it is just the lack of babies. Test scores are in here. It's a hard chart to look at, but there's a lot of fantastic data showing how every school in the county is doing on these scores for English and math. It's our wonderful writer, Tony Biasotti explains all of that.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the fact that you have the data for the school and the education here, but this chart is an eye-opening chart for residents in this city and other throughout the county, but really appreciate that this has been included. It's important to the citizens of this community and the county to understand, and it's also important to understand there's two governments. There's the civic government and the educational government.
Right.
And there's tax bases, different things, because it is still amazing to me how many people think the city of Oxnard is responsible for the education in the city of Oxnard. Thank you very much for including this.
Thank you. This chart is showing the number of students that met or exceeded the standard, and there's only one high school in Ventura County that 100% of the students met the standard for English. No schools in Ventura County met 100% for math. So it is an eye-opening. It was jarring when we put it together.
David, I got a question on
Yes, sir.
that previous slide we were just looking at. I noticed Oxnard Union, grades 9 through 12. I don't see Del Sol on there. And I'm wondering
Maybe,
if,
we had to start at 20%, but I'm not sure if they had the data. But it should be if their data was there. I don't know if it's truly there because they don't have all 4 years enrolled yet. And this is looking at, I think, third, fifth, eighth, and juniors. So
Okay.
the way the data is pulled together, I think that's why Del Sol might be missing.
okay, so yeah, Del Sol only has, I guess, freshmen and sophomores right now, and I guess
And
next
junior,
year.
yeah.
This is our first year they have
juniors also.
juniors.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
So next, okay, so next year it'll show up.
Community colleges have mostly come back. Oxnard College is there in the green as far as the number of students, so good work for the community colleges. But our four-year university, Channel Islands, is the top line there. You can see that their enrollment has plunged, mostly COVID and the pandemic. But from what I understand, the numbers will be better coming up. And I may have overlooked mentioning that Selena also is the government relations person for Channel Islands University. I love to show this chart because it shows the value of education. The longer you stay in school, the better your career earnings. So if somebody graduates high school, I'll use a female, she would get about $34,000 as far as her average annual income with a high school degree. But if she was able to stay in and get a bachelor's degree, you can see that number is double. And if they go on to get graduates. So if somebody is debating, is college really worth it? This chart says, yes, it is. And it's really worth the student loans if you have to even do that. Now, there's a great inequity between the males and the females, but either way, it's education pays off. Housing starts have come back a little bit in Ventura County, but we're still not building enough. Average home prices, the blue line is the prices countywide. The green is inflation adjusted, which is interesting to many people because inflation adjusted, our housing prices really haven't gone up at all in the last 20 years. But you have to buy your home with inflation dollars, and that's much more expensive. Apartment rents continue to be the challenge for our young people trying to get a job after college or high school. And then you have to pay for like $2,900, $2,600 here in Oxnard. It's just staggering as far as how expensive it is. So young people go and they move to Fillmore where the apartments are cheaper, but then they're on the road all day driving to get to their jobs in Oxnard or Santa Paula. So it all adds up, very complicated, as you all know. Good news, we're continuing to add solar energy in Ventura County. So not quite the size of one of the generating stations, but we're getting pretty close to what we've added. And good news for Oxnard, as far as the amount of water used per capita, you are the second lowest in the county. And that makes sense because your yards for homes are a little smaller. You have the coastal breeze. Some of these eastern cities have a much higher or dryness, so they're using a lot more water for landscaping. This is the chart that also I think is really shocking to many is our birth rate. So the peak in 1990, we were showing about 18 or 19 births per 1,000 residents. And here we are in 2023, and that number has dropped to 10.2. So almost half of the birth rate that we used to have in Ventura County. And you can say, well, that's because of the high price of housing. I think a lot of it is also young people waiting longer to have children, and young people deciding let's only have 2 kids instead of 3 or 4 like our parents may have had. This chart is similar to the state and the nation, but Ventura County is worse than the state. We have had a precipitous decline in that birth rate, which means obviously we have a lower number of students going to our schools, and that means our average age is continuing to creep up. Good news, fentanyl, that's declined. A lot of that is naloxone as far as the emergencies. We've added cancer rates here in Ventura County. We have 4 different charts in the book, but this one is all cancers. Surprisingly, what we did was we ranked the top 25 or 30 counties, and Ventura is near the top as far as the number of cancer rates. So this is incidence, which is different than prevalence. Incidence is the number of people that come down with the disease in a particular time frame, usually 1 year. So how often do people get it? You could think about if busloads of people moved in and they already had breast cancer, that wouldn't change incidence because they had already had it. Prevalence is the one we often think about. It was just how many people have it in general, regardless of when they got it. So the state measures it by incidence. And we have leukemia and breast cancer and prostate cancer. Surprisingly, Ventura County is often near the top, and I don't know why. Is that you'll see many of them are coastal counties, San Luis Obispo, Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara. Is it related to being near the ocean? Is it related to we have better doctors, and so we detect it faster? There's a lot of questions. I don't have an answer on that one. Public safety, Ventura County continues to be the safest large county in the state. It's been this way in several of our reports. As a former police officer, Mr. MacArthur, I'm sure that take a lot of pride in seeing these kind of numbers. In the city of Oxnard, the violent crimes have gone down a little bit. The most recent year, they did have a surge back in 2023, but you can see the numbers for all the cities. And we also show the property crime rates. Ventura has typically been the leader as far as the most property crimes. This one's interesting to see a jump in juvenile crime. I'm not sure what's driving that. These are arrests, so you could say, well, maybe there's better policing. But the surprising thing is how many girls are also now committing juvenile crimes. I don't know what's causing that at all. Social services, we have great nonprofits. Food Share continues to deliver quite a few meals. That's about 7.2 million pounds of meals, which isn't quite, it's really pounds, and they use a metric of 1.25 pounds equals one meal. So it's not quite 7 million meals, but it's pretty close. And you can see their numbers across the board. But every city has people that are hungry. Homeless counts by city, I'm sure you see other reports about that. You can see Oxnard's had some great progress there in the declining number of homeless in the city. And the percentage of workers who are working at home started with Zoom and the pandemic. And these are measuring the 5 different counties. But even after the pandemic ended, we still see more people working from home. So that continues to rise. And I'll just wrap up with, transit ridership. Gold Coast has done a great job recovering from the pandemic. We can see they're the blue bars. So they've come back to pretty much pre-pandemic numbers. And I do want to take a moment to talk about populations. So these are not in the book. When we did the report, there was a government shutdown and we couldn't get census data for these numbers, but I can share it with the city manager's office if you're interested. Highlights though, Oxnard is the youngest city. You have a greater percentage of young people living in Oxnard than any other city. You also have the lowest percentage of people over 65 living in your city. So you did have population declines 2020, 19, 21, 23. Here's what the county overall looks like. So the green is total residents. Blue is the number of people younger than 18, so 0 to 17. And you can see the purple line is showing the median age of the county. So we keep getting older because we're having less children. Here's how Oxnard looks at by comparison. So Ventura County had an average of 39.6 in 2024. Oxnard is much lower, 34.4. So you've been below the county's numbers. And that makes sense, right? The previous slide I showed that you had the highest percentage of young people. So whatever you're doing to attract young people is working. What's interesting though, when you look at your population here in Oxnard, you can see about 206,000, and that declined a little bit to about 200,000. So you lost about 6,000 total residents, but almost all of that, 57,000 down to 51,000, was young people. So it's not like we're losing young people, but they're turning from 16 to 17, then they become 18, 19, 20. So they're aging out, and we're not refreshing that list of young people with birth rate. City of Camarillo, similar numbers. They're a very old city. They had a little bit of an increase. Fillmore is one of the only cities that had any growth in the number of young people. So obviously it's less expensive, but some fascinating data. And then you can see how their median age has declined a bit. Moore Park, sort of same story. They lost about 6,000 as far as they lost about 1,000 residents, but 500 of those were young people. And Ojai is the oldest city. You can see that at one point in 2022, they had an average age of over 50 in the city of Ojai. Very few apartments available. They don't do much construction. It's hard to attract young people. So they've lost a lot there. Port Hueneme, Santa Paula has had some growth in their total population, but a decline in the number of young people. So it's across the board that we're just not having enough babies. And part of that is childcare, $15,000 a year for a toddler in childcare. And I say this in all the cities, advocating for businesses and the cities to work together to figure out how to provide more childcare services. Can the cities reduce regulations, make it easier for when somebody wants to establish a family childcare center, maybe take 5, 8 kids? It's a lot of work, especially for newcomers. So First 5 and EDC are working on programs to do that. Can employers offer better opportunities for young people, maybe a little bit longer or flexible hours? Could we work with industry to say, it'd be just amazing if we could open a child care center over there on Del Norte Road where all the businesses are. So people didn't have to drop off their kids maybe in Ventura and come back to go to work, that type of thing. So I will stop there. Thank you for allowing me to go a couple of minutes over. I'm very thankful for the opportunity. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them.
Yeah, Councilwoman Perez, go ahead.
First, I'd like to just thank you for the presentation. I think some of the data is a bit alarming, especially as you kind of highlighted this theme of the city of Oxnard, having an increased number of young people in our community. And then we point to the layered issues that I think oftentimes are, as mentioned, pretty layered and have to do with perhaps the cost of building, the abundance or the lack of housing in our community, and just really reflecting on the numbers that were shared tonight, particularly the numbers of the cost to buy a home across the county being $975,000 to more localized here, the cost of rent being $2,591 to be able to live here in the city of Oxnard. And considering we have such a large population of young people living in this area, I definitely resonate with the notion that many of this generation is finding it very difficult for home ownership, but also to even live in the city that many of them have grown up and have had families that have lived here for generations. And so I think it's just really telling to see even the comparison of the various industries that are in our community and what the wages are and the salaries that point to it. And so I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for a collaborative partnership to look at ways in which uplift our youth generation in terms of upward mobility opportunities, but also paying wages that are far beyond just the average, which I think in looking across the sectors, it seems to be about $50,000 a year. And even just thinking about that and considering the cost of living, whether it's home ownership or renting, that in itself, I think, creates this some of the experiences that I think I come across often in my district where you see multiple generations living in one household to be able to make ends meet. And so I'm hoping that this is an opportunity from the economic standpoint of partnerships and employers in our community to look at the cost of living and if wages are actually sustainable, because I know that there are, in addition to our 4-year education pathways, there are other economic opportunities that people can get into right away that'll pay them a livable wage. And so I think when we're talking about declining birth rates or population size it's no surprise when looking at some of the numbers in terms of what it costs to own and to stay local near family. I think the other thing I wanted to also point out was the incarceration rates for young people in our community, and would be curious to know what the age ranges are. I know I've had the opportunity to tour the youth facility here in the city of Oxnard and know that there are young people in there as young as 13 years old, and know that, cognitively, neurologically at 13 years old, decision-making is a big part, and I'm sure there are so many different partnerships and nonprofits and organizations out there that could really ensure that our young people know that there's a community here to support them if they don't get that at home, or that there are resources to ensure that there are other outlets outside of the incarceration system for them to go into, like job pathways, mentorship, skills training, and other social emotional capacities that allow them to thrive, instead of creating this trajectory of incarceration that therefore sparks the increase of homelessness or other issues that we see far too present here in the city of Oxnard. And so really kind of wanted to share that and really appreciate the data and the overall analysis of the county. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And to your point, as far as the economic, I applaud the city of Oxnard for doing the studies, looking at how you can work with the Oxnard College, because you seem to get that we have to have a highly educated workforce to attract those high-paying jobs. And I think that I know the city is doing some analysis there, so that's very welcome.
If I can just make a comment, Mr. Mayor, and I really appreciate the comprehensive report that has been done, and to what you just stated, I know that our city leadership is working closely with the college, with the major employers here in this region, specifically recognizing that many are from Oxnard, us being the biggest city in the region, and also the challenge that we have in working with our educational partners. I think we've got some great educators. One of them is here tonight, Ms. Alma Romero, one of the principals over at Del Sol High School. And I think we all are committed to enhancing our workforce here, starting with the young people. We have some challenges, but we certainly are committed to that. So thank you for this comprehensive report that puts us in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a person who was born and raised in Oxnard, I'm always very proud to come here and speak.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we'll go to Councilmember Perillo first, and then Councilmember Starr.
Number one, thank you very much. For the rest of the council, this gentleman's mother was an Oxnard City Council member. The concern, one of the issues that I have, and I hope we can put this in a future item that you have and you bring forward, with respect to the young people and the birth rates and the various things and the amount of people here and the educational thing, can they break it down how close to the poverty level each age group? We have seniors that are single senior, women going into homeless group, youth that can't afford rents, coming out with educations, the level of skills that they can get or they don't have because they didn't get them. Either they were not available or they didn't succeed in acquiring those skills. To present to the council anywhere in the city, in the county of Ventura, because there has to be something where we have bright young people that have the skill sets. Just as you said, you got to have the skills to get the job, that the job will pay for you to live in the community that you want to live in, because it's not inexpensive to live here. But if you can't provide the skill set, an employer is not going to give you enough money to live here just because you can't provide the skill set to them. It's a matter of what do you have to offer? And what are we trying to do? The city of Oxnard, working with the UCLA study and pointing out and highlighting some things that some of the schools don't appreciate. I really appreciate the fact that you had that educational thing on there. And I can tell you, whether it's the east, south, north, or west part of the county, when you go to places, neighborhood councils, which I have been to, whether there are affluent or not affluent neighborhoods, there is a tremendous amount of non-knowledgeable people that think the city of Oxnard is responsible for providing everything, from the streets to the trash to the educational quality that comes out of the school. And I'm really grateful that you put that in there. And those are my comments. Again, thank you very much for coming. It's always great to hear you. You make a great presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Starr?
Yeah, I'd like to echo, it's a great report you have there. I think a lot of work went into that. I have maybe a thought on something that maybe we could add in the future. It'd be nice to see what the national trends are compared to where we are. So I don't know whether we're just mirroring what's happening all over the country, or if we're kind of an outlier in some cases. Regarding the lack of children, I know one of the things that we have today, thankfully, is we have a lot of economic opportunities for women that we didn't have many years ago, and it results in at least delayed childbirth, and probably fewer of them. It'd be great to see a stat, if it's available, of what the average age of a first-time mother is over time. I suspect that what we'll find is that average age probably goes up simply, and that's often because of, economic opportunities competing for their time and attention.
Right, and that's actually a worldwide trend. The more educated women are, the less children that they have, because, as you said, they have more economic opportunities.
Yeah, opportunity costs, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Great suggestions.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll go to our city manager. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Great. Thank you. Also, I'll echo the comprehensiveness and the just the amount of data and the quality of it. So thank you so much. I just have a couple items here. You don't have to bring the slides back up, but on slide 36, where it was the gross county product,
Yes.
If we have this level of detail, I'd be interested in hearing it, as a follow-up. But I noticed on the graph that from 2005 to the following, there was it went from 5% to 10%, I believe. I have it here in front of me. I should look. 36.
Thank you.
So on the line graph,
While we're discussing this, can we have 36 come back up for the people at home that are watching that can't?
Got it.
well, appreciate that. Since this is not a Measure M presentation, we're allowed to show people what we're looking at here so they have context. So while they're bringing that up, Mr. Mayor, you'll see that, we had 2003 was 6.4%, 2004, 9.5. These increases, are these representative in totality of all the sectors, the economic sectors in Ventura County?
Yes, yeah, it's the overall gross. I can't think of what's excluded. And it is the same across all the years. So let's just say they left out flower growing. It would be consistent across. So we make the data match for all the years.
Okay, and the only reason I bring that up is 2004 to 2005 is a significant decrease followed by significant increase, 9.5% to 5% to 10.9%. And it just caught my attention because I thought, wow, what happened 04 to 05 and then 05 to 06? And then we know what happened in 07 after that. But I'm just wondering if there was ability to follow up later with us about which specific sectors may be factoring the most into those jumps. I'd be interested in hearing that. I can make assumptions on it, but given the time frame there, but I would just be interested in that for my own knowledge.
For any council member, the city manager knows how to get a hold of me. If you would like me to talk with you a little bit about anything, feel free to reach out. What's interesting, we talk about housing affordability, and there's a chart in here, and you look at like maybe 15% of our population could afford to buy a home. But if you look at 2012, that was the last peak, and 50% of the people could afford to buy a home. So what has happened in these years, that has made everything less construction, perhaps, other things. So what happened? We were going gangbusters. If you look at the housing starts, we were building. So there was a lot of activity. And then that Great Recession that happened with the financial collapse and all of those things, that's what put us into that tailspin. We lost Countrywide, we lost Bank of America. So jobs left, people, a lot of defaults on mortgages where people lost their homes. And then, yes, as you point out, Councilman Turan, they're just slowly trying to come back. But bringing in Amazon is certainly a plus, bringing in other industry, we often talk about bringing in industry, but we also need to talk about retaining. So Ventura has the trade desk. They should be working on them 24/7. Camarillo has the Meissner Corporation. You have Haas and Procter Gamble. are we doing enough to recognize our stalwart corporations that are here and recognizing the value they bring so that they don't think about leaving?
Yes, thank you for that. And I'll just add that absolutely retaining what we have now, having good private-public partnerships with them, looking at how all of us serve the community in our respective ways. In addition to that, when we talk about bringing in new industry, new business, I'm a firm believer that we have to bring in the right kind of business, the right kind of industry that matches the skill sets and the abilities and education levels of those who live here now. And we can certainly bring in industries and opportunities that challenge folks who are here now, but we can't bring in like a biotech firm into the city of Oxnard and think this is going to be a great addition to the people who live here now, because I wouldn't qualify for those jobs. I don't know how many who live here would, and if there aren't enough, they will bring folks from elsewhere either to commute into Oxnard and then leave when they go home at night, or they will move to Oxnard and oftentimes into areas where we have current residents who will be priced out of being able to continue to live there. And we need to avoid that as much as possible, avoid it altogether. So anyhow, that's it. My last two comments here. We don't have to go to the slide like I mentioned. In fact, Diego, you can bring the slides down. I don't need to reference them visually anymore. But for the water usage, and we were the lowest on there, I will say that we all did our part in the last massive drought, and I think that we've continued to do so. I think we got used to that, and probably a lot of people went to turf-free landscaping in their yards. I know the city's done that as well, and I think we've done a great job of that. And so just massive props to my fellow Oxnard residents for not only doing that when the time needed us to do that, but that we've continued that after the fact. And then the last thing here, and I think this goes to what we're discussing here about opportunities for young people and jobs and what's offered to them. I've been very open about, I was not a great high school student, so I didn't know what opportunities I had after I graduated high school, after just barely graduating high school. And I could have gone to work, could have gone to Oxnard College, or I could have gone to work at the port. And I actually had a family member there who was willing to get me a job driving the cars off the boat and then eventually testing their electronics, and could have built a great career for that, I'm sure. I chose to go to Oxnard College, and that put me on a trajectory to where I am now in higher education, working in the education sector, and I'm very thankful for it. But I think about all the young people who are in a similar situation where they're at that crossroads of adulthood and not knowing where to go or what to do, or even what opportunities are out there. And how can we best highlight those as a city, as the private sector, in our education sector, so people have some sense of the pathways versus just kind of aimlessly, like I could have done, say, well, I'll just go work in retail at the Goodwill for however long I can, then I'll move on to this, then I'll move on to this. So anyways, thank you again for the report. Very eye-opening.
Right, and I hope you will use your role to be a role model. You are, in a way, an avatar for what some of these young people are looking for. Can I really do it? You're a success case. I hope that story gets told more.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager? Go ahead.
Yes, three quick things. So one, thank you, Mr. Marin and the Civic Alliance. This is a tremendous report. It's incredibly useful for us, and it will be for the next 2 years and even beyond that. Now, I think three of you have asked him, because remember, this is a nonprofit organization. I think three of you tonight have asked him to crunch more data. So I'm just going to deal with this now because I'll get grief for it later. So if you look at the last 6 pages, you'll find that the city of Oxnard hasn't taken out an ad here. So we've not supported it. So the items you brought up, if they should agree to do it, I think it's only fair if we also make a contribution to the report next time around.
So
Because you've just given him more work to do without any funding. I know how that goes. And
appreciate
then finally, I want to say, Mr. Marin, you closed very, very heavily with a important emphasis on the birth rate. I do appreciate all the information. I just think next time we should just start playing Marvin Gaye in the background and make it more effective. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We'll go to Councilwoman Pearl, then you, Councilwoman. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I think, I just have like a clarifying question, and as other folks were speaking, because I have yet to read the entire report, thank you for the presentation. On page 37, when we're looking at the different industries and what the living wages are, I see that there's comparison of like living wages with 2 adults, but 1 is working. Living wages with 2 adults and 1 child, and 1 is working. And I'm just trying to understand why only 1 would be working and not both adults. Or I'm trying to understand why only 1 income was being represented.
Right, so this data comes from the United States Census
Okay.
type of thing as far as how they break out their categories. But if we think back to what we've read about, say, the 40s and 50s, that old stereotype was, dad goes off to work, mom stays home, even if there were no kids. There was
Correct.
very few job opportunities. So I think what this is sort of trying to show is that you may have a couple and 1 is staying home and not necessarily working type of thing. I don't know how prevalent that is anymore, because certainly in Oxnard, you really need both people to work.
So if I'm understanding correctly, when we started collecting the data, it was with the framework of 1 single income. And we keep collecting data that way is what I'm hearing from you.
That's what I'm guessing,
Okay.
but I'm not sure, Councilman.
And then the other question I had was about the gap in pay based on gender. These are same type of work, similar roles. There's still the 86.7 cents to a dollar that a woman makes 86.7 cents to each dollar that a man makes, correct? Because I know I've had this conversation with a lot of people and they're like, well, the
Right.
gap is not there. And
Yes, you're exactly right. A lot of people will say, oh, but that's because, she doesn't have the same training or she got pregnant and so that. But they're trying to equalize the data. This also comes from the U.S. Census American Community Survey. As far as trying to say equal types of jobs, women just are paid less. And we break it out by sector so that you can see that in the nonprofit sector, there's pretty close to
That's the closest.
equality there. But in some of these other, including government, it's not always the same. And some of the reasons that are always given is that there's that bias, that the hiring manager sees the man and feels like, well, you got to support your whole family, so we'll give you a little better wage. If you're the woman, you already have a man who is bringing in the money. So there's a lot of bias that's talked about in the academic circles regarding how wages are given and adjusted, because it's always those ranges. But yes, entry-level women might get the lower end than a man.
thank you for sharing that, just because I wanted to make sure that it's the same type of work, the same expectations, yet the gender is the only difference that creates that, or that explains that gap right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for the candor and your response to the question that Councilmember Rodriguez just asked. But I would also like to share this separate item. When we're talking about biotech or green jobs, high-tech energy jobs, high-tech industry, technology, whatever it is, this city has a history of those businesses coming here and sharing with us. If the employees are not here, they'd have to bring people from the outside into the area, because the people from the outside will not move here because of the reviews of the local schools compared to where they are before. That is a big thing, and that's another reason I'm appreciative that the educational stuff is there. That is something people don't like to face the music, but that's facts. People will not move here because of some of the situations with the educational system locally.
Right, and I've also heard anecdotally maybe, but that an employer, let's say that has an operation in Fresno that wants to move here, their employees say, we can't afford to live there. And so if you're selling your home in Iowa or Kansas, and you're thinking about buying a home here in Oxnard for this new opportunity. And so even if the employer is not moving, but our local businesses have challenges just attracting people to come here because of the high cost of housing. So many layers.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. Councilmember?
Yeah, one question. What was the cost of this report all in? Just kind of give an idea. I mean, there's a lot of time that went into it as well, but what type of dollars did you guys have to spend to produce this?
I don't have all the dollars, but I mean, the printing's expensive, the graphic design by Mustang Marketing, that's a cost. We have our editors and our writer. A lot of the data is collected by the Civic Alliance and our volunteer team and all that, but it takes hundreds of hours type of thing. So I appreciate you acknowledging just what an effort it is. And like I say, we just couldn't do it without the generosity of our sponsors who are willing to be listed here and shown on our website and other places. But we've been doing this since about 2002, and Since 2013, it's every 2 years, and much like the city manager said, people are asking me like 3 months later, when's the next one going to be available? Or why don't you do it every year? But it's just too much of a lift. But it has become very much a core thing. We're grateful that reputation. We're also grateful that the city manager was one of our presenters at our rollout event back in November as well. So, thank you.
Councilmember, go ahead.
With the thought about the costs under donations and something that was mentioned earlier, is there a consensus on the council that we strongly consider making funds available to this in the future? Do we need to make that as a motion? I don't think this is appropriate.
I don't think it's on the
At
agenda.
least give a consent, an
No.
understanding on the council.
You can't do that here. It's not on the agenda, but first of all, it's going to be a very small amount, so don't worry about it.
No, there's a first and a second. Can we have a vote?
Well,
But we
Mayor,
will
what I'm
definitely
looking,
hit you up.
I just want to make sure that the council has an understanding of what we're being presented with and an opportunity to take a position, may not be with a vote, but with an opinion, because sometimes people change their mind later on when there's other things that come up. The closer you are to the fire, the warmer the decision.
I appreciate the presentation, Mr. Mayor. And
Thank you all
It was wonderful. And I know I was when you had the State of the Region, I was there, and so thank you for
Yes.
putting the panel together. It was very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on Mr. Mayor's presentation?
Mayor and council members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for this appointment item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I'm just going to hit the gavel. I don't want to alarm anybody, okay? I'm just going to call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. Just want to call the meeting to order for the Oxnard City Council and the Oxnard Housing Authority for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call and posting of the agenda, please?
Commissioner Andrade,
Here.
Councilwoman Commissioner Basua,
Here.
Councilmember Commissioner Perallo,
Here.
Councilwoman Commissioner Bettis,
Here.
Councilwoman Commissioner Rodriguez,
Present.
Councilman Commissioner Starr,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Teran,
Here.
Mayor Chair MacArthur.
Here?
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the kiosk at City Hall, the Oxnard Public Library, the city administrative offices, and on the city's website on Thursday, February 19th, 2026. And then I also have an announcement. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54952.3, each member of the Housing Board of Commissioners present will receive $50 pay for convening this meeting, with the exception of Commissioner Starr, who has declined to receive compensation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next item is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance, which is going to be, we're going to be led by our student today is Ernesto Reyes Vasquez. He is an English learner who plays basketball. He is part of the ELD leadership in the group that sets up volunteer work at the Wilson Center. He also started a basketball support group during lunch. And he's just an absolutely great representative for students at Del Sol High School who have learned English as a second language, and he has big roles and big goals in mind. So Ernesto, if you can lead us from the Pledge of Allegiance, then we'll also take a moment of silence just for everything that's going around the world with the various conflicts. Thank you, Ernesto, if you can lead us.
Mayor, can
Yes.
we take a moment of silence for the service members that have lost, but also in our thoughts, anybody in uniform and serving this country, but alone, any civilians that are suffering and being, lives are taken in this conflict. It's not just an American issue. This is a big deal. And no matter what wars, if you're for them or against them, civilians pay the biggest price in wars.
Thank you, Councilmember. Absolutely. Thank you, Ernesto, if you can lead us in the pledge.
Put your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice.
justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. And thank you, Ernesto. I opened it up for you. We're so proud of you. Thank you, Ms. Romero, for for this recommendation. Go ahead, the floor is all yours, Ernesto.
It's nice to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. So, I'm born in Ventura, but I'm raised in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, where my family is and where I lived the most of my life. Until I decided to get my diploma for high school here in Oxnard, and thanks to all my effort, I'm being able to graduate from high school and study robotics for my future. So I'm currently the president of ELD Leadership Club, where our goal is to help ELD students developing their skills for social and leadership so they can achieve their future goals. And also, we have a partnership with Wilson Senior Center, where we are helping them to understand technology or with the activities that they have. And so that the students can earn the community service hours and strengthen the responsibility and commitment to the community. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So who did you bring here today? I see you got Ms. Romero's here supporting you. Anybody else that we should recognize?
Ms. Casillas, Karina Casillas, my Spanish teacher. I won't be here if it wasn't for her. I want to recognize her and thank her.
We have a certificate for you, Ernesto, if you wanna come on up.
Conozco a Ms. Casillas as a future leader.
Make us all so proud.
Yes, you did a great job. You guys want to get him?
Thank you. Yeah, it's for you. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
It's almost full time. I'm gonna be going to overtime.
Let me know. It's your school, goes to high school. She's the best friend. Okay. And the girls, soccer team. Right. I was at the pep rally. We were just talking about how great the Del Sol High School soccer team is doing, and Ms. Romero's telling me they're playing in they're 0-0 right now, right? They're in the state tournament, so we'll see how they do. Okay, keep us posted.
I'm gonna go try to make it.
All right.
I would just like to make a
Yes,
statement.
absolutely. Councilmember
The
Bell.
young man, and he mentioned the Wilson Senior Center and helping the seniors, that is a very big deal. As a senior myself, I can tell you, there's a lot of things with electronics and communications that people have a hard time, and they wonder how young kids can pick it up. And sometimes it's embarrassing probably to ask your kids or your grandkids. I think it's a tremendous thing that you're doing by helping people at the senior center. I want to thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
And thank you. If I can just add one more thing to this, that I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I also want to recognize the fact that, as you mentioned, you are one of the ELD leadership students, and English is not your first language, and it's something you've had to work very hard to develop. The fact that you came up here and spoke in front of us, spoke in front of cameras, in front of the entire city, there are people who has been speaking English their entire life who could not do that. And you did it in a language that is not your first language and did so amazingly. And so just, I hope you're very proud of yourself. You did a great job. Thank you for representing well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I know you got to get to the state playoffs. So we're rooting for the Jaguars. Remarkable what they're doing. Thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda. This is for public comments for items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers for this item? Oh, thank you. We have Jeanette, followed by Pastor Greg Runyon.
Sorry, I have copies for you guys so I can help explain with their names. Here you go.
It's Jeanette, yes.
Everybody got, I'm ready to, okay, that's fine. Or should I start with any? Okay, I will start. So moving forward from what happened after 5/20 of '22, as I was escorted off of Pacifica High School campus, after I reported to Oxnard Police Department with Chief Whitney and Officer Garcia, and they advised me to go to the Ventura County District Attorney's Office and to report what I have information. And I did that. And then on 6/2 of '22, after reporting to Human Resources Superintendent Thomas McCoy and measures on high school campuses of having random breathalyzer testing, since bus drivers at Oxnard Union High School District have random breathalyze testers conducted for the bus drivers, and also metal detectors in a fear of safety if there's ever another shooting on campus. I had addressed that. And then moving forward on 6/2 of '22, between the channels of Channel 2 and 34, news media informs me that Thomas McCoy, superintendent of Oxnard Union High School District, asked news media not to speak to me in regards to my matter. And also, on top of that, Karen Sher, you're running for superintendent. Out of my 110 emails that I had emailed you with this matter, because you were on the board of trustees of Oxnard Union High School District, you don't have my vote. And you were aware of the situation and what was going on, and nothing was done. So I come to you, Mayor, in support, and I wanted to change. What happened to my godson, what happened to other students that were being hospitalized and taken to St. John's, unacceptable. When I went to work, I never went to work drunk. I never was under the influence of a narcotic or any kind of drugs, and I would feel the safety of the students are first. And one thing that I want to add is being Latina in my community.
Thanks, Jeanette. I apologize, we're out of time. Thank you. Pastor Greg Ryan, you're up next. Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's kind of refreshing that we're not as crowded tonight with speakers, but at the same time, it's a little depressing. Councilman Perillo mentioned that there's an awful lot going on in the world right now. I think it's very easy as a person of faith to have certain ingrained responses to what's going on. But it's really important that all of us try to be human and understanding of what is happening, because if we make the whole world our enemy, we'll be the whole world's enemy. And I'm not here trying to articulate in favor or in opposition to what's being done. But I am saying that as human beings, we need to figure out how to speak in a way that invites peace and not conflict. And that's difficult. Especially, tonight, I don't know if all of you politicians would know, it's primary night. In Texas and in other places, and those of you who pay attention in Texas, the language that is used is about hate, it's about race, it's ugly. And yet, I saw this young man, Ernesto, and I hope all of you caught how straight he stood and how proper he stood. So I took a moment to ask him, I said, you thinking about the military? And he had a smile to say yes. So for all of us who have a premonition to let our first words be in opposition or defiance or criticism of our country, you need to know the difference between criticizing a leader and those who follow. And it is important for you all to be a unifier at this time, not a divider, because I hope that Oxnard can be an example of what community means. And it's not community based on religion or gender or ethnicity. It's a community based on heart and love for one another. So thank you.
Thanks, Pastor Runyon. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers, virtual or in person?
Mayor and council members, we do not have any additional speakers virtually or in person.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move to the next item on the agenda. This is from the city clerk. This is the appointment of a member to serve on the city's Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. The recommendation is that the mayor, with the approval of the city council, appoint.
Mayor, did you skip over an item?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I did. That was actually, no, I'm just kidding. I won't.
We appreciate the enthusiasm.
Yes, thank you. I'm just moving right along. Thank you. I'll go to item H. This is a report of our city manager. Go ahead, Eric.
Great. Thank you, Eric Sonstegard, Assistant City Manager. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Two quick things this time of year. Diego, if you can bring that slide up. This time of year brings at least two things for our community. One, we just want to remind everybody that this Saturday we, for a lack of better terms, lose an hour. So we make sure you move your clocks forward, or I guess you would be late to anything you were planning on doing on Sunday morning, late or early, but nonetheless, we spring forward on Sunday morning. And then, as we do each year, we have our spring float tour, and I'm pretty sure we have a special guest coming in. Hopefully they're watching from where they are, because I certainly didn't prompt them to come in. So I will talk for just a couple more seconds, and if I don't see a large furry object turn the corner, perhaps we will move on. Nope, it's not Michael Wolf. And All right, there we go. So we have representatives from our CCS department and a special guest here to talk a little bit about our spring float tour. Great timing. All right.
Thank you, folks. I'll wait for our bunny to get up here a little bit. All right. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I am happy to be speaking to you this evening. Excuse me. Regarding two exciting spring events being brought to you by our Cultural and Community Services Department. Bunny, can you go start hopping along? Our second annual spring float tours will kick off on March 18th and run through March 26th. Just like our Halloween and Santa floats, the spring float tour will feature festive decor and be making stops this year for potential photo opportunities with the spring bunny, and will feature lots of laughs and smiles. Be sure to check out at Oxnard Rec on Facebook and Instagram for float updates and float nights. Follow along on our Glimpse app to track where the bunny goes. And as you can see, we have the schedule up there, all of our neighborhoods that we're hitting. I think the only nights that we're not on tour are March 22nd and 23rd. So catch us out there. It's going to be a really great time. But I did want to bring up, if you missed the Spring Bunny during the float tours this year, don't worry. The Spring Bunny will also be out and about taking photos at our third annual Accessible Extravaganza over at College Park. That's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, March 28th. This is an adaptive egg hunt event specifically designed to provide an accessible and memorable spring experience for children, young adults of all ages and abilities. So come check out the egg hunt, craft area, yard games, and of course the City Core Train as well. Pre-registration is required for that event, so if you'd like to check it out, please register at www.oxnardrec.org. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and let's have an excellent spring, folks. I do have some flyers for both events. I could leave here for folks to come up and grab.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Hoppy.
Thank you, folks.
That was very good. Yeah. That's it. Thank you, Eric, very much. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Just to confirm, the eggs that we received from Hoppy, are we allowed to open them, or do we have to wait?
Too late.
Oh, okay.
Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers waiting or anything?
Mayor and council members, we do not have any public speakers for the appointment of Rodrigo Zaragoza in person or virtually.
Yeah, and I apologize, that was my mistake for jumping out. But we'll go to the next item on the agenda. This is report from city council members. We will start with our commissioner, Mr. Andrade. Do you have anything you'd like to report? No? Thank you. Councilwoman Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick couple of updates. Since our last meeting, myself and Mayor Pro Tem had the opportunity to go to this community schools meeting at Blackstock Junior High School, so wanted to thank the principal and staff there for the invitation. It was really a good opportunity to connect with families and understand some of the data components of where they are in terms of test scores and how we can best support. I also wanted to thank Kathleen and her team. They held the community meeting or helped spearhead that at the South Oxnard Center to seek input from the community around the South Oxnard Connect project. So wanted to thank her team for that. I also wanted to thank our team for coming out for another event, So shortly after that, about 2 days later, we had another community input meeting for the Southwinds Park last Saturday, and really appreciated all the staff time that was put into those sessions. As a part of that, in preparation for the Saturday's event that we had regarding the input for Southwinds Park, I also wanted to take the moment to thank the Southwinds Neighborhood Council for joining me that Friday, the night before, knocking on doors and getting the word out to just let folks know that we'd be there. And we're really excited to hear their input on some of the projects and ideas that will be coming to that area. Wanted to also thank Councilmember Rodriguez. I know in her work capacity, she launched the National Trio Day celebration with Dolores Huerta, really highlighting first-generation voices and collective power. And it was just really inspiring to be there, even as an unelected myself, hearing from the panelists of speakers and just Dolores Huerta herself on, the importance of organizing and, just the direction that we need to continue to go into as a community. I also had the opportunity to meet with the principal at Sunkist Elementary to discuss neighborhood concerns, and I'm excited to be joining their Read Across America tomorrow, and looking forward to all the other reading opportunities that will be happening throughout the district. And lastly, I just wanted to thank Supervisor Lopez's staffer, Viviana. We had the opportunity to meet to really discuss potential ways that we can partner and uplifted conversations regarding District 6. And back to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Perillo, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor. In sharing since our last meeting, I had the opportunity, and I want to publicly thank Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Turan. I attended an East Village neighborhood event that had to do with the issue of the neighborhood input for the potential cost to recover some of the issues that are going on in that neighborhood with respect to lighting and things that have happened in the past, and the fact that materials do not live forever, and we have to address it. And the other part of that equation is there's no free lunch. Somehow it has to be paid for. Apparently, Mr. Turan and the neighborhood council put the thing together. Councilman Starr was there, I was there. Public Works staff, Anthony Miller and Michael Wolf were there, answered questions. I thought it was a well-done meeting, and it's great to see that type of an event. I had the opportunity to attend the Fox Canyon Groundwater meeting, also the Mandalay Beach Homeowners Association meeting, when again, at that meeting, it's a neighborhood meeting of the homeowners, but at the very beginning of the presentation, they have an opportunity for the city of Oxnard to make some input and take questions. You had the city manager, the public works director, the special districts director, and the city engineer, Mr. Kessler, Miller, Wolf, and Nguyen were there. All answered questions, did a good job, in my opinion. I also had the opportunity to attend the celebration of life for Mr. Bill Terry. I want to thank the Oxnard Police Commander that spoke. It was terrifically impressive to hear the story from when he was a youth and the things that Mr. Terry did for the tremendous amounts of kids. I had no knowledge about that. If the commander had not shared that, Miguel had not shared that, I would have been a loss. I was extremely impressed that former Assemblyman Mr. Pedro Nabo took time to come down to this event and acknowledge the actions that Mr. Terry had with respect to the LNG plant that was going to come in from the Australian company at the beach. I was grateful to see our former mayor, Mr. Tim Flynn, there. And I was fortunate to be one member of council that attended that event. It's a tremendous loss to our community, but it was also a terrific opportunity to learn something about a man's life, coming from Louisiana, going to the Bay Area, growing up, the input and the impact he had on tremendous amounts of people's lives. The other thing, I want to thank the city of Oxnard for finishing the work on Neptune's Net. The information and the presentation that we just had from the nonprofit is a big input, and I hope that more people will take the time to go on and watch this, look at the website, and take a good look at the information that's presented about the educational systems, not in just Oxnard, but the entire county of Ventura. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of updates since our last meeting. Sure feels like a lot to happen in just 2 weeks, but time flies, I guess. As Councilwoman Perez had mentioned, we had the community schools meeting with Blackstock Middle School, and that was a great meeting. It was a large turnout. The cafeteria is nearly full, and they also had mariachis and pan dulce, and it was great. I love that they offered all of that to recognize the time that families and students are putting in to be there and learn about what the agenda items were for that meeting. I also attended the Fremont Academy groundbreaking. Fremont, formerly known as Fremont Intermediate and Fremont Middle School, for those who may have gone there when it was under those names. They broke ground on the new buildings that they'll be building for that school here that are slated for the 28-29 school year. And they will do as they've done with other campuses in Oxnard School District, where they will construct the new school, the students will transition to the new buildings, and then the former campus will be demolished, and that will become the open space for the school site. So good luck to them, and thank you for the invite, and it was a great turnout, and most of the audience was students, which was great to see. And even though many of those students will not attend the new campus, they were excited. There was one who kept yelling like excitedly for everybody who was introduced when they were introducing the dignitaries, which is great. I think he was genuinely excited to see all those people there. So I also attended a Youth Right to Rise presentation at New Progressive Missionary Baptist Church. I know the mayor attended as well. These are young people who are working with attorney Vanessa Frank and through her Mariposa nonprofit, and they are learning about all of these ins and outs of constitutional rights and law, and many of them may already have a sense for wanting to go into the law profession. And so I appreciated the invite, and they did a great job in talking about constitutional rights. I also attended the Workforce on Wheels ribbon cutting. It was pouring rain, and they still held it, and I appreciated that they did, because that particular program, because it's mobile, will likely go out rain or shine as well. But it will be offering a number of job training skills and opportunities for people who would like to go through that program through workforce development. And I was happy to learn that same day that our recreation department, or cultural community services department, has already worked with them to go to the South Oxnard Center once a month to bring their mobile unit there to the South Oxnard Center to offer those services for residents. So you can contact Cultural Community Services if you'd like to find out more about that. I attended the Oxnard Tennis Center grand reopening with all the new courts, including some pickleball courts and new tennis courts. And I really appreciate the work that went into that. I see our Public Works Director is here, and I'll give thanks to all the work and planning that went into that as well. And thank you, Mr. Kessler, for any role you had in that too. But I remember touring that as a Parks and Rec Commissioner, and I want to say it was 2018. Maybe we toured and saw the condition then. And there was just a lot of work that had to go into having that come to fruition. And it was great to see all the people who came out, a lot of people who are currently members, but a lot of people who are former members of the tennis center came back for the reopening. So it was just great to see. And last couple items here, I also attended the National Trio Day celebration, and great job to Councilwoman Rodriguez for emceeing that. She's a natural, if you haven't had a chance to see her lead a discussion. And it was just truly an honor to be able to be in that space with everybody who was there and Dolores Huerta, and be able to hear from her directly and even have some questions and answers from the students in the audience. And it was very powerful. So thank you for those who worked to put that together. Thank you to our staff for attending the Rio del Valle Career Fair last week. I saw we had folks from Recreation, Oxnard Fire, and Oxnard PD, and it was a successful event put together by their counseling department, and it was just great to see all of the students get to be exposed to all of these different possible career opportunities in private and public sector jobs. And last thing, Councilmember Perillo mentioned LMD 43 meeting. I do appreciate all the work that went into that, and I know I said it last time, but I do want to formally thank those who helped directly to let their community know about that meeting and to ensure that they had the opportunity to hear the information and be informed on this subject. So I'd like to thank Alexis Schmidt, Ron Arwejo, Joe Garcia, HOA President Martin Perez, Heather Schmidt, and the Neighborhood Watch Group. They all volunteered their time along with me to deliver flyers. Some of us did door knocking. I knocked on every door I went to speak to people about it and let them know and answer questions that we could at that time. And especially thanks to Anthony Miller and Mr. Wolf for being there as well to present and answer any questions. And the meeting was recorded. We have our communication staff working on the video now to ensure that there's accessibility through captions to ensure everybody can hear everything, and that'll go up. So hopefully those who couldn't make it will be able to view the video later. And I had committed that night that I would, if we were gonna send it back to the community, that I would help ensure that the community had the opportunity to be there, and I'm glad I was able to do that and work with these community members to do so as well. Thank you, Mayor. That's my updates.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilwoman Basua?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take the opportunity to also thank Kathleen and her team with all the work they did on the Oxnard Connect team. I know that I saw some recreation staff members there. It was a very well-attended event. Probably one of the biggest amount of participation that I've seen in South Oxnard in a very, very long time. I mean, I guess with the exclusion of the Oktoberfest kind of Halloween thing that happened with children, but I was very, very glad to see a lot of participation on the south end because that's not usually something that we get. So I just want to make sure that I commend that team for all their hard work. Thank you.
Councilmember?
Yeah, I attended some neighborhood council meetings since the last meeting, like the West Village and La Colonia. I want to thank Morgan Kessler for being at the La Colonia Neighborhood Council. He gave a really good presentation on how public works works and just how priorities are set. And I think he helped basically create a better understanding of how that process works. So I'm grateful he did that. As mentioned earlier, two of my colleagues and I attended the Landscape Maintenance District 43 Greenbelt Lighting discussion, and I thought it was worthwhile. I didn't see too many people attend, but I thought that we got some good information that day. I'd like to thank my colleague, Councilwoman Basua, for alerting me to a need at Del Sol High School regarding the girls soccer Jaguars. And as a result, I got to help with that and spoke with the counselor there, David Ramos, I believe his name is. And I actually ended up attending a pep rally at the high school, which is just really surreal. I haven't been on a high school in over 40 years, so just kind of strange to be there rooting our Jaguars and wishing them the best when they as they compete the next day at the Coachella Valley. So I think we should all be very proud of them. I hope that we can bring them in at some point so that we can acknowledge their great achievements. It's a relatively new team, given that the school has only, I guess, been here for like 3 years now. And almost all of the participants in the girls soccer I think they're almost all freshmen and sophomores. I don't even think there's any juniors in there. So they may have another 2 years ahead of them where they're going to be working together as a team and getting better. And to think that they've done so well right out the gate is just super impressive, and I have no doubt that they're going to do even better next year and the year after, because no one's graduating from that team yet. Upcoming events, I've got the East Village Neighborhood Council meeting and the East Side, and I'll be attending the East Side Little League opening ceremony, where hopefully they won't ask me to try and throw a softball across the plate, because I'm sure I'd embarrass myself. But that's all I have to report today, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Starr. Councilwoman Rodriguez, go ahead.
Yes, I think my two main reports are me having attended the Ventura County Animal Shelter Commission, what was that, February 19th? And just keep your eyes open, because in March, we're going to be having a discussion, most likely at OPAC, but there was no date set. They said late March, about the overcapacity and continued overflow of animals. So basically the overcrowding and public safety. They also had launched in October mobile clinic, and we were discussing the possibility of maybe having the mobile clinic come to like food distributions or different sites where a lot of people are coming to a specific location. Maybe there could be an announcement, and so that's an initiative that will be rolled out. So there's no specific date right now. I also have my meeting tomorrow with the Gold Coast Transit District. So at the last meeting that I made an announcement, I had shared that there's a proposal for changing routes in South Oxnard, specifically routes 10 and 11, 1 and 6, I believe. And so the intent is for us to shave down the wait time for folks going from like North Oxnard to South Oxnard, and, better connections. And I just wanted to share, not only were there listening campaigns and town halls about those routes at the South Oxnard Library, but if folks have any questions or concerns, then reaching out to me would be a good opportunity for us to bubble up any concerns that may happen, especially as it turns in on J Street. I know there's a lot of congestion in that area. So those are my two announcements. And yes, thank you for the council members and any other community members that attended National Trio Day. Folks didn't realize that Dolores Huerta would be the speaker, so it was a nice treat for folks. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor Pro Tem, you have something additional to add?
Yes, thank you for the quick additional moment on this. I failed to do a request for a future agenda item. I'm hoping that in the future we can recognize our Oxnard Police Explorers, who I recently learned at the Rio de Valle Career Fair, where they were represented, that they went to a national competition in Las Vegas and brought back 3 trophies and scored third place overall, like nationally, as police explorers. And so I think there's some opportunity there to recognize those young people and the adults who work with them on this. And so just wanted to put that out there for a future agenda item. Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember, did you have anything to add? Sure, go ahead. Councilmember Perillo just asked me to make some announcements of some meetings coming up. Yep, we've got East Village Neighborhood Council meeting coming up on Monday, March 9th at 6:30 p.m. We also have the Rio Lindo Neighborhood Council election meeting that's coming up on Thursday, March 19th, and that's at 7 p.m. And we have Blackstock South Neighborhood Council meeting that's coming up on Wednesday, March 25th at 6:15 p.m. Thank you, Councilmember Perillo. Thank you. And just for me, my closing remarks, I attended some of the similar events that my colleagues here attended, but I've been very active in meeting with businesses, helping them along to bring businesses here to our city. I think businesses bring economic vitality, social and physical infrastructures to our city. They drive economic growth, and they shape the character of our city, which I think is absolutely important and set us up for long-term prosperity, which I think is very, very important, and you all will agree with that. And also, I meet a lot with students and helping them as well as our various sports teams that are active here in our city, because much like I think when David presented here on the state of the region, the investment in our young people is critically important for us here in our city, and I'm committed to doing just that. And also just for closing, some of you may have seen on social media, at the Elks Lodge, worked with them to bring Carmelo. He is a well-known chef. His family is out of Michoacan, has been doing carnitas for 100 years. And the reason I mention that is there was thousands of people, I would probably venture to say probably 4,000 people between Saturday and Sunday that lined up to purchase his food. And so that, to me, that was something important because that goes along with what I'm trying to do is make this city that much more vibrant and catering to our community here. And true to his word, his phrase is, you have money, you eat. If you don't have money, you eat. That's fine. So there are many people that were in line that just simply lined up, didn't have money to pay, and they still walked away with 2-3 pounds of meat that he was cooking. So I thought that was something that was good and impactful here to have in our city. And with that, we'll end that agenda item. Thank you. We'll now move to the city clerk item. This is the appointment of a member to serve on our city's Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission. The recommendation is that the mayor, with the approval of the city council, appoint Rodrigo Zaragoza to the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission to represent District 6. This item did not originate in committee, and our city clerk, Ms. Louis Lopez, is here to answer any questions we may have. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we do have a virtual speaker that's joining us. When you're ready, Madam Clerk, if you can put him on.
Virtual speaker, excuse me, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes starting now.
Hi, I was actually calling on the prior item, but there's a delay. So anyway, I just wanted to bring to your attention the Ventura County mock trial competition that took place this last weekend. I'm wondering if any of you know how your Oxnard schools did. I didn't hear any of you mention it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers?
Mayor, that concludes our speakers in person and virtually for this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What is the recommendation, or is there any support on appointing Rodrigo Zaragoza to?
I think you'll be making the motion.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I certainly make the motion to appoint Mr. Zaragoza as the District 6.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilmember Starr. Is there any comment or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote.
Mayor and council members, tonight we are voting, we have a new voting system. So if you'll just give me a minute, and then we'll project everything so that the public can see how everybody is voting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, we do have, so let me go ahead and open the voting.
Want us to try it again? Yeah.
Okay, if everybody can go ahead and cast your vote. And so this is a new voting device, so green is for yes, red is for no, and if you're abstaining, that would be the yellow button. Thank you, council members. So this motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now move to the consent agenda. Do any council members have any consent agenda items they wish to discuss? Great. Now, what's the pleasure of the consent
I
agenda?
think Councilmember Starr, do you have
Go
one,
ahead.
Councilmember?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You do? Go ahead.
Just L3.
Okay.
Okay. Mayor, I'm not seeing or hearing any additional items being pulled from the consent calendar, so if we can, I'd like to go ahead and move the balance of the other items. I think we have some housing items too. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That is correct, and we'll take a separate motion for that.
Okay, so I'll move the non-housing items first for us to vote on.
And I'll second.
Mayor Pro Tem, I assume that L4 you don't want to vote on because it's a receive and file?
I'll include it in my motion if we want, but it's fine. I think we can go without saying on that one. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, are there any speakers on,
Mayor and council members, we do not have any public speakers for the information and consent agenda.
thank you. Call for the vote.
And then if the council members can go ahead and cast their vote, please. Thank you, and the motion passes 7-0.
And Mayor, I'll go ahead and motion for the housing authority items as well.
I will go ahead and second that.
Madam Clerk, call for the vote when you're ready.
Mayor, I'll just need 30 seconds to add the commissioner to this voting. He has, I will get him one.
Councilmember Sal, which items did you pull? Which items did you pull? 3? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for your patience. Stop. Okay, if you can go ahead and cast your vote, please. Thank you. And this motion for item L2 and L4. L4 is just a receive and file, but we've included it. The motion carries 8-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now move to the item pulled for discussion by Councilmember Aaron Starr. This is L3. This is from the Finance Department. The subject entails monthly investment report for the period ending January 31st, 2026. The recommendation is that the City Council receive and file the monthly investment report. This is an information item only. This item did not originate in committee, and we have our CFO, Javier Chagoyan-Lázaro, here to answer any questions. We'll start with you, Councilmember Starr.
Thank you. So we have cash of about 22 million almost. And I'm wondering, is it still the case that we're not earning any interest on this balance, or are we?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Javier Chagoyan-Lázaro, Chief Financial Officer with the City of Oxnard. The cash that you see there, it's not making any interest. That's the 14 million that we have in the general account balance is what it helps our regular operations. And the 7 million for the successor agency, that cannot be invested. It's just separate, because if we were investing any money, we will have to give that money away, because that's basically the proceeds from the successor agency. So those monies are specifically separate. They're part of the same contract with the city, but we cannot dispose and invest those monies the same way as the monies that we have in the general account.
So the 7 million, you're not able to invest. That has to be idle in cash.
Yeah.
But the 14 million, almost roughly 15 million for the general account, at one point you were talking about perhaps having some type of investment where it could be like overnight investing. And I remember first requesting this back on July 1, and I requested again on September 2nd. At the September 2nd meeting, you mentioned that we should expect something to come to council in a couple of weeks with a proposal. I was just wondering whatever happened to that.
I want to remind the council that the authority to open and close bank accounts is with the city treasurer. And right now we open a request for proposal for banking services that we are evaluating at this moment.
Okay, and when do you think that we might be able to see a proposal?
We are evaluating the proposals right now. They're very extensive, so probably I don't want to commit to a date until we have a closer look at the proposal. We just closed the proposals last week.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Starr. Any other comments or questions by any council member? If not, this is only a receive and file item. Thank you, Mr. Chagoyan Lázaro. Thank you. And Commissioner Andrade, you can be excused at this time if you'd like to leave. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item N1. This is from the City Manager's Department. The subject, Wooden Gateway Sweepstakes Program. The recommendation is that the City Council authorize the purchasing agent to donate 5 surplus wooden gateway signs in accordance with the Wooden Gateway Sweepstakes Program guidelines. This item did not originate in committee, and Mr. Nguyen and Samantha Shapiro are here to answer any questions we may have. Madam Clerk, are there any public speakers on this particular item?
Mayor and council members, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any council members have any questions of staff on this item? No. Councilmember Starr?
No questions. I just wanted to make the motion.
We are on the wooden signs.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm grateful that we're taking this action, that there is no perception that somebody, because somebody knows somebody that works for the city or is an elected official, gets something that the rest of the population of Oxnard doesn't have an equal shot at getting. As one council member who is aware that in the past history, various things happened in the city, and I can tell you for one, a very simple thing, when it used to be that you would walk during a campaign season, you would see old street signs in people's backyards because somebody knew somebody and they were able to get them. I'm very grateful that our management is taking this process. There's no freebies, no free lunch, and we're doing it above board. Anybody has an opportunity to apply, and everybody has an opportunity to look at the item on the agenda. As one councilman, I'm grateful for that.
And if I can just add, I know Mayor Pro Tem wants to make a comment, and we'll go to Alex as well. This is something that is very important to me. When I heard the gateway signs were coming down, this is a treasure. And I'm so glad that we had this conversation with our city leadership to make these signs available to the public. I myself am going to put in to procure one of these signs on behalf of the city, so that we're going to think about a public place that we can. I know Mr. Wolf is here, probably thinking we don't want to take another project on, but if we're able to procure one of these signs as part of the sweepstakes, maybe put it in a public place that we can showcase and put a plaque that will say that these gateway signs, or this particular gateway sign, was placed in X location between 1980 and 2025. And I'm hopeful that an entity out there that meets this requirement will put in to procure one of these items, one of these signs, and beautifully display it for the public to see, a sign that has been in place in our city for the last, since the 1980s. So I'm very thankful to Samantha, our city executive leadership team, for putting this together and making it to where it's available, much like Councilmember Perella said, it's available to anyone, as long as they meet these requirements wishing to participate in the sweepstakes. Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead, and we'll go to Alex after that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick comment on this, but I see we have some members of the public here tonight. Just wondering, out of context for me, do you know what we're talking about here? You can just say yes, no. Do you understand what the item is in front of us? No? Because we didn't have a presentation for y'all to see, right? You had to, on your own time, you would have had to go see it online or come into the city and watch it. Well, when you drive into the city, so this is for everybody now, including the folks in the room, when you drive into the city from Oxnard Boulevard and you're coming from the 101, you go under the railroad bridge there, and just as you're coming to Vineyard, on the right-hand side, just before Carl's Jr., there was a large sign that said City of Oxnard. Large wooden sign with the old logo. There was one on the 101 under the large sign for the auto center. There's one Pleasant Valley Road, I believe. So you know which ones I'm talking about? So as was mentioned, those have been taken down because we have new gateways coming in, but there is certainly history and nostalgia attached to these signs. And so what's in front of us now is to have it so that individuals or entities who would like to take these in and either restore them or keep them in the shape they're in for public display. They need to put them up if they own a business or some publicly accessible area where people can see them and remember Oxnard and what it was when these signs were around. So that's what we have in front of us. So my comments, I appreciate that there was some context put in this with the size and the weight of these signs. Like intellectually, I knew they were big when you're driving by them, but I mean, they're like 10 feet by 6 feet, 12 by 6. They weigh 300 pounds, 250 pounds. I mean, these are massive. And even the small one is 7 by 3 and 100 pounds. And so that was really cool to see. But I also appreciate that we're doing this so that those public or private partners who want to put in for this, who would like to display these for the public to enjoy in the future, that they have the ability to put their name in the hat for that. I will close by saying that Wagon Wheel, you will see that the old sign from the Wagon Wheel is there. And I truly believe that there's a special place in our residents' hearts for nostalgia and the things they saw for many years growing up in Oxnard. So I appreciate that we're doing this. And actually, one quick question, just to make sure we're in the clear on this. When the mayor said that, you know, we might put in one for the city, would it be appropriate to say we're going to retain one for the city versus putting the city in there? Because I think in the documents I read, it said that no council member, no city staff could win one. Is that correct?
Right, so I can clarify that. So the mayor's going to put in for the draw on behalf of the city. So it's the same chances and odds. I do want to thank the mayor for caring about the community's history and posterity. If I had my druthers, no, I'm kidding. I care about that too. I was going to joke about putting it in recycling, but no. So if I may ask you, could you put in for number 2?
Yeah, that's the one I have my eyes on, yes.
Yeah.
The nicest one.
It's the only one I don't see termites. So thank you very much. But seriously, thank you for caring about the history and maintaining that history, not just for nostalgia, but for the posterity of this community going forward. Many, many years from now, there'll be people who will get to see this and have no idea where they ever were, but it's a great physical presence of our history. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. There's no, oh, yes, go ahead, Councilman Perla, go ahead.
I would just request if we could have the city manager or staff underneath the discussion so that we have, as we've had the mayor pro tem ask if the people are here and by nodding their heads, they didn't know to read the agenda and look at the pictures, they can understand exactly how this will be awarded. The requirements on the front page, last 3 paragraphs on the front page explain how it's going to be awarded. The requirements, because there are requirements. The raffle aspect of it, and how this will take place, the opening and closing of this. There will be people that watch this video after tonight that may want to be, and it doesn't say that in the presentation that we're talking about. I think it would be wise on our part to do that. And if you want, I'll read it.
Go ahead. I'd also recommend people read the report too.
Yeah,
so it's more clear.
That's a big deal. So if staff can do it, or however you want to do it, but I think it needs to get out there.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. Discussion. The city of Oxnard will host a sweepstakes to donate 5 old wooden gateway signs to Oxnard-based entities who can display the signs in a location with high visibility and is open or accessible to the public, and who can maintain and care for the signs. Eligible applicants are invited to submit an entry by the program deadline to participate in the sweepstakes. The raffle is open to businesses, organizations, or individuals located in the city of Oxnard who are at least 18 years of age at the time of entry, who meet the eligibility requirements and who agree to the terms and conditions outlined in the program guidelines as defined in Attachment 2. The sweepstakes will accept entries beginning Thursday, March 5th at 9 a.m. and ending Thursday, March 26th at 6 p.m. Winners will be selected randomly from all eligible entries received during the promotion period and will be selected by the purchasing manager utilizing the online program called Wheel of Names Random Name Picker. Winners will be notified during the City Council meeting April 7th to enter the raffle. Eligible participants must submit a completed entry form online at oxnard.gov/gateway sweepstakes. The full program guidelines, terms, and conditions are available online in Attachment 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Diego, for putting the photos up there so people see what we're talking about. So we have a motion by Councilmember Starr. Just need a second. But did you want to make a comment?
I think we had a second from, did you second it, Councilmember?
I don't think it's been seconded.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I had one more thing, if that's
Go ahead,
okay,
Mayor Pro
Mayor. Did you have something, Councilwoman?
I was just gonna second.
Oh, okay. So along the lines for this, anyone who is watching this who is interested, the Oxnard Union High School District still has some high schools that have wood shops. And I would just throw out there, perhaps that's an opportunity to partner with our local school district on restoring some of these and getting some skills in the process. And so just wanted to throw that out there for folks for consideration if they're thinking about throwing their name in the hat here. And just for context, I thank all of you for helping me with that, because we have a Measure M, that if you didn't look at the staff report, didn't get to watch the video ahead of time, and you come here just to see the meeting, you may or may not get context for what we're talking about. And I want you to have all the information about what we're doing. Typically, I may ask for a quick explanation. Councilor Perello gave a great explanation by reading the actual report itself. But I just wanted to let you know that was a great example of sometimes people who come in who are great members of the public and want to be here and engaged may not get all the information they need just because we have a roadblock sometimes. So that's my opinion. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Madam Clerk, we have a first and a second.
Mayor, just for the record, so we have a motion by Councilmember Starr and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Teran. Thank you. Okay, council members, please vote. Thank you, and the motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is item N2 from the Housing Department. Subject exclusive negotiation agreement between the City of Oxnard and Dynamic Real Estate Partners, LLC. Recommendation that the City Council authorize the mayor to execute an exclusive negotiation agreement with Dynamic Real Estate Partners, LLC, regarding an undeveloped site located between the US 101 freeway and River Park Boulevard, west of East Vineyard Avenue and River Park Boulevard intersection. That's where the property is located. This item did not originate in committee, and I see that our housing director, Ms. Brenda Lopez, is here to answer any questions staff may have on this particular item. Before discussion, we'll take any public comment on this item, Madam Clerk.
Mayor and council members, there are no public speakers in person or virtually for this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments of Ms. Lopez on this item?
I'll move the recommended action, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Perez. Call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Okay, council members, if you can go ahead and cast your vote. Thank you, and this motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. The next item on the agenda is item N3 from Public Works. The subject, ratify an emergency order and approve a public project agreement with Toro Enterprises for 2 emergency repairs on a water main near 800 East Pleasant Valley Road in an amount not to exceed $260,000. The recommendation is that the City Council review and ratify the following. Number 1, the Director of Public Works emergency order to dispense with public bidding requirements pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 22050 to make emergency repairs to the city's water distribution system. 2, authorize the city manager to execute an emergency public project agreement with Toro Enterprises for a total amount not to exceed $260,000 for 2 emergency repairs on a water main near 800 East Pleasant Valley Road. And 3, the Director of Public Works, declaration of the termination of the emergency order to dispense with public bidding requirements pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 22050 to make emergency repairs to the city's water distribution system. This item did not originate in committee. Our Public Works Director, Michael Wolf, is here to answer any questions we may have of staff on this particular item.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I have an announcement I'd like to make for this. So good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council Members, Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. Staff is not recommending any changes to tonight's staff report, but we have some new information that we wanted to present since the agenda or the staff report was written and the agenda was posted. As mentioned, there is a declaration allowed by either the city manager or myself to declare emergencies, to identify necessary repairs, public projects, and that declaration then requires us to come back to council and get that ratified as soon as possible. So that as soon as possible ratification is sometimes competing with the information that we get from our contractor in terms of cost. So this type of work, as you can imagine, especially when we're talking about underground piping systems, is more of an exploratory work. They're not coming and saying it's going to cost $10 without actually knowing what they're doing. Typically, these are done with some of our time and material type processes rather than a firm fixed process. So as those costs come trickling into the contractor after the work is done, that's when we start to see the total. We do get an estimate from the contractor typically before the work gets started. But as you can imagine, the person or the company that's delivering asphalt to the contractor when they're out there doesn't have the invoice with them as they're coming. When they go and rent shoring, they don't have the shoring invoice as it comes to the site. So all that information does trickle into the contractor. So again, after posting the agenda, we did get some information from Toro, who's the contractor that we used, is that our original estimate of $260,000 is not going to be sufficient enough. So we are recommending that gets approved tonight at the staff report as written, with the understanding that we're currently at $263,000 with the information we have to date. We're still waiting for one more piece of information from the contractor, which happens to be shoring. And then, like we do with our typical projects where we have changes or amendments, we'll be bringing that back to council for consideration. We think it's going to be, somewhere between 263 and maybe 283, somewhere in that range, depending on how much the shoring is. So recommending to approve as tonight, but recognize that we'll be back as soon as possible with the updated cost. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Wolf. Councilman Perla, go ahead.
A question for the city attorney, and with respect to the recommendation and the wording of our Public Works Director, this is legitimate, with this legal action we could take based on what's been requested?
Well, he's asking you to take the action that's on the agenda and just letting you know that they'll be back for a subsequent adjustment to the final amount once that information is ascertained.
Thank you, and I see our Public Works Attorney nodding her head back there also, so thank you. The second question, just so that the public and some people who may call in and go, wait a minute, you're spending more than what you said, is there a definition that we could have for the term emergency order? So I'm looking through this thing and I'm not seeing it. I think I have a pretty good idea, but do we have to have a legal definition in case somebody calls and says, wait a minute, you guys are, as some of our keyboard warriors tend to do?
No, there's no standard legal definition for this particular instance. It's whatever the Public Works Director, City Manager, or yourself determines is necessary in order to safeguard public health, safety, life, and obviously a large sinkhole and gushing water would clearly fall within an emergency definition if there was one that can hold this exact situation into its certain definition. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And the last two things. I know that we've had a tremendous amount of work done in the city with Toro. This is a good construction company. We have a good relationship and good quality work.
That is correct, and they actually came out on a phone call, so
Phone call.
a good
And
partner in this.
And the last, I think you said the other cost that we may not know is shoring. And shoring is required because of human safety, working construction. My understanding, plates are put down so there's no cave-ins on individuals that are working. So it's
there
a
is
safety, it's a necessary safety.
Right, there's an OSHA requirement for a certain excavation depth, but there's also just some general common sense. Sometimes when shoring is ordered by the on-site superintendent, but there also is a certain depth, over a certain depth, you have to have shoring by OSHA. Yeah.
Those are all my questions. Thank you very much for answering them.
Thank you,
And I
Councilman.
totally support this.
Thank you.
I'll second that, and I just have a quick comment, Mayor.
Mayor and council members, before we take a motion, there are no, just for the record, there are no public comments in person or virtually for this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead with your
Thank you.
comments.
Excuse me, I have questions actually for the Public Works Director. I know it's mentioned in the staff report, but would you be willing to just share quickly the age of the infrastructure that we're talking about here, just approximately when these cast iron pipes were installed?
In the 1960s, so 1964, give or take, we have that information in our GIS, so we're able to look that up. So, yeah.
So they predate my mom, it sounds like. So, all right, thank you for that. And I don't know if you or Mr. Payton, I got a bigger laugh out of that than I thought. Okay.
It just means some of us need our pipes replaced now.
I don't know if you or Mr. Payton can answer this one. Just approximately what would be the expected lifespan of this particular type of cast iron pipe?
So I actually looked that up and before this meeting just to make sure I had it. So typically, it's anywhere between 50 and 100 years. There's a lot that goes into this, though. I want to recognize that we're not talking about something that gets washed and polished every day. We're talking about something that's underneath the ground, inside, dirt, get lots of pressure on it from different vehicles depending on how deep it is. And then I think what some folks won't recognize is the amount of pressure water has in the pipes, and when you have like a hit fire hydrant nearby, how much water hammer is the technical term for it, may jolt those pipes underneath the ground. So a lot of it has to do with those kinds of things, as well as the age of the pipe. Cast iron pipe is one of the ones that typically has a little more reaction with soil sometimes, depending on if you have soil that has different types of makeup to it in terms of its chemistry. We have, I think, about 10% or 9% of our total underground piping is cast iron pipe. The majority of it's either PVC or ACP. So we don't have a lot of this, but when it does break, this typically is where it breaks.
Appreciate that. And my last question, followed by a comment on this, is the first break happened in early February. I think it was February 4th. I had the report up. I should have left it up here. Okay, so February 3rd, right? And then there was a second main break 5 days later. I know that there was some thoughts shared with the council on how that could happen and the proximity of those two, but can you share a little bit about what you had shared with the council regarding when there's a main break, pressure changes, and then these things happen, that further down the line that there's potential for another break when you have piping of the same age?
Right, so the first pipe was actually a linear break, and quite a long linear break. And so, that releases a lot of pressure and can jolt those pipes. And if maybe we had a pinhole leak that was started a while back, that may accelerate that. So Chris can probably talk a lot better at this than I can, but I have seen where you have a mainline break of that nature that results in sort of subsequent breaks that are nearby, depending on if you have cast iron pipe or PVC or ACP. But I would say that is not uncommon, meaning it can happen and sometimes does in close proximity. It doesn't usually result from like the actual construction work. It usually results from the release of that pressure at such a fast speed. So.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. And I only asked that last question because I think there were some assumptions made by some individuals that, well, this is just a sign of our infrastructure just crumbling before our very eyes, or the city has not invested in their infrastructure. And I'm happy to point folks to oxnard.gov/projects, and you can see the many capital projects and many infrastructure projects the city has in process as we speak. And I know that there are a number of neighborhoods where you've already replaced old cast iron piping. Colonia was one of them just a couple years ago, where we had the piping replaced all throughout the neighborhood. But these are not things where we can just say, okay, you know what, in 2026, let's just do all the cast iron pipe this year. Let's get it all done. Just logistically, that's not even possible, not even just talking about finances here. So I appreciate all the work that went into this, but it is a reminder that we do have older infrastructure, and we are working on that as time goes on here, and really trying to address this in ways that are going to serve the community well. So thank you, Mr. Wolf, and thank you, Mr. Payton, for all of your work on this, and thank you to the folks at Toro who jumped in. And it sounds like we may have this come back to us in the future. So glad I got all my questions out at this point. All right, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just more curiosity than anything else. How vulnerable are these pipes to seismic activity? I'm thinking about the Northridge quake in '94. I have no idea how that impacted piping in LA, but is that something that ever causes you concern?
Well, earthquakes in general cause me sleepless nights, but yeah. I would say, are you talking about specifically cast iron pipe or just in general underground infrastructure?
Address both, if that'd be okay.
So, depending on the type of earthquake, the type of whether it's more vertical versus horizontal in terms of its movement, could tend to lead to different distresses in piping system. Now, recognize that a lot of our pipes are buried underground inside. That they have a compacted backfill associated with them. They have a compression, if you will, from what's around it that may be different than if the pipe was exposed and going into a building where the building may sway differently than the pipe. And so there's a lot of things that go into that. I would say it's hit and miss just based on the type of earthquake that you have, the magnitude, and then the movement, whether it's more vertical or horizontal.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Payton for the staff report. Appreciate the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Okay, Mayor and council members, if you can go ahead and cast your vote. Thank you, and the motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Yeah, this is.
There will be a quiz about cast iron pipe at the next meeting.
Wow. I'm going to get my black belt in keyboard warrioring soon. So if y'all want to come to the ceremony.
There being no further business on the agenda, and without objection, we adjourn. Thank you, everyone.